We're back. We are here with Carolina women at Bertie James, and we are here with Elizabeth from Coastal Discovery Museum. And I'm sorry that you missed the really deep discussion that we had before about your background and really about the fact that you've come into Coastal Discovery Museum and you're now curating the art exhibitions, which is pretty impressive. Talk to us a little bit about how you got started here, because it's a great story.
So I moved down about 6.5 years ago. I have a 6-year-old, so
Okay,
a 6.5-year-old, so it had to do with that. And then about almost 2 years I've been at Coastal Discovery. So the museum over time has grown like a natural growth. They've done a great job. Several directors in a row have done a really good job to keep expanding what we're doing. And so it was just the right time. There was enough going around, and it was time to kind of up the game on the exhibition program and do some upkeep in the gallery space. We added new walls, things like that.
How do you select and choose exhibitions, and what can we look forward to?
So, I mean, part of it is, I think about exhibitions all the time. I like to say that, like, I think in exhibitions. Okay. So when I see art, when I see anything, I think, well, what would the exhibition be? Like, what's the visual story? And
Can I see this at Coastal Discovery?
Yeah. And so and exhibitions are really about telling a story, right? So so that's really important to me. So the shows you would see me doing really combine at their best when I do them well. It's the concept and the craft. So very much I like artists who have a conceptual framework. So my current exhibition right now, Lisa Watson, her work is incredibly beautiful. The craft is amazing. I love her work just to sit in there and look. But when you delve into what the meaning of her work is, it's so important. So she's really looked at plant species of the Southeast, rare plant species, and this is her driving force, is about nature and all the issues we're facing.
This is going for a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
So you want to catch it.
So this is up through February 26th. It's a really, really beautiful show. I highly recommend it. Everybody who's seen it just
It's really interesting because I think sometimes art exhibitions can be intimidating, and when you frame it like a conceptual framework, that helps me understand that I'm looking for depth and meaning. Yeah. And I think that a lot of us, do you help guide people when they come in to really experience or get the most out of the exhibition?
Well, I definitely, there's always an intro panel that kind of sets the stage. I will say I hate like art speak, so I don't write that way. I write for people because I think that's a mistake that a lot of art museums make, is they write in a way that a lot of regular people don't understand it. It's boring. It's intimidating. Exactly. I try not to do that.
User friendly.
Yes. Yeah. I was always taught, why use a big word if you can use a small word? In other words, I mean, I do use big words sometimes, but it's because they need to be used.
So can we walk through the exhibit? Is it interactive? Is it self-guided?
It's self-guided. So there's always an intro panel, and then depending on the exhibition, there's more or less labels. But usually I have labels that go with individual pieces that tell you, like, what are you looking at? So, I mean, some places, again, like to not put anything up and you just look. I'm not a fan of that, because what's the artist going for?
What's next in the queue, though? That's what I want to know.
So the next one is exciting. The next one's exciting and a complex one, but really has been really fun to do. So it's called Binya, Faces of the Gullah Geechee. And so this is a portrait show of Gullah Geechee, and this is a portrait show of real people who have lived not just on this island, many Hilton headers, but also up and down the coast of South Carolina and Georgia.
When you do that kind of exhibition, are you bringing in lots of different portrait artisans?
This is a multi-artist show, which are always more complicated to do. And so this came out because we have a couple pieces in the museum collection, some of our best pieces that Walter Greer did back in the 60s, of John Holmes, who was a local subsistence fisherman, oysterman, and then another portrait too. We have a few of them. So we've always had those. They've often been on display. And then we got offered a painting a couple years, right after I started, we got offered a painting of Joe Legree up on St. Helena, who was a cabinet maker. And that was kind of the jumping off point. We started to have enough pieces where we thought, could we do something with this? And so indeed we can. And now we've found, I mean, there's so many great works. We have a piece that Jonathan Green did. He did a self-portrait
Wow.
His self-portrait in 1983 when he was in art school. So we have that. I don't think it's ever
prints of any of this stuff.
Well,
or is that
that's
something that the artist would have to?
Yeah, that would be something that Jonathan would have to decide he wanted to do.
All of his work is so amazing. I really appreciate you coming today. You have to come back on and chat with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this has been great.
Exactly.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Really fascinating, don't you think? Stay with us. There's a lot more to come here in Carolina Women.